Hello everyone and welcome to the Navin Times Talk from the Heart. If you have a pet or are an animal lover, today's show is just for you. In our studio we have Dr. Gustavo Pinto, a very well-known veterinarian, and welcome Dr. Pinto.
Thank you.
It's so kind of you to come. I know how busy you are, but again, thanks and welcome.
Thank you.
Doctor, you've said 40 years
Yes.
of experience in this field. You've been practicing for the last 40 years.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
What got you interested in becoming a vet? What was the first thing? When was the first time you decided, this is what I want to do?
I was born in Africa, and I'm a nature lover as much as I love animals. So it was my dream to become a vet and to work with the wild, especially wild animals. In fact, I intended to apply for admission to the Makerere University at Uganda. Unfortunately, Idi Amin came into power in Uganda and we had to move back to India. But I stuck to my choice Mine was a decision of choice. It was not just by luck that I became a vet. So when I came to Goa, as soon as I finished my college, the first thing I did was I joined the veterinary profession.
So was there a vet college in Goa at that time? When
No. Even now there isn't. There are 27 colleges all over India. And fortunately, the Goa government has seats reserved in those colleges where Goan students go.
Okay, fine. Now, the first question to you is, there are many, children love animals. It's just this natural affinity that they have for animals. And everyone wants to have a pet. Pet care is not easy. It is like getting a new family member, actually, literally. Do you agree with me?
See, he who loves an animal is a better human being. Because what we get from animals is nothing but pure love. For example, dogs. The love of a dog is totally true. The love of a dog is totally unconditional. Today you wear a blue dress, tomorrow you wear a white dress, whatever. The dog loves you. And dogs and other animals never pass judgment. So it's always recommended that people should have a pet, or they should have an animal in their lives. Now it's a tragedy with this new trend. There are these colonies which are being set up in Goa where they have a no pet policy. It's a very sad state of affairs. But I think it's very important to have a pet.
But what are the things that one needs to look into before deciding? Like if I am a parent and my child wants to have a pet, what are the things I need to check? And okay, so this is what it is, this is what I have, this is what I don't have. So what are the things I need to have?
The first thing is, where do you live? Now if you live in a flat, you have to keep a small pet. You could keep a pet as small as a hamster or a rabbit or a mouse, or you could keep a pet like a dog. If you live in a bungalow or you have a large wide open space, you could keep bigger animals. In fact, very often a lot of my clients, they object to their children asking for pets. So when the parents refuse to give the child a puppy or a kitten, then I offer them a horse. I say, why don't you keep a horse in your flat? But I think it's very important to have an animal in your life. See, I'll give you an example. My daughter Sasha, the one who's a vet, she lived for 6 years in Pondicherry. And when she came back, she insisted on bringing her cats. So when my wife said, but we already have 6 cats, our 6 plus you, your 3, those are Tamilian cats, there's going to be a riot. And she said, you know, Papa and Mama, my animals have listened to my problems throughout my stay in Pondicherry. They've shared my grievances, they've shared my secrets, they've been with me to listen to me. So her cats were part of her life. So we have them all in Goa now.
Pets do become a part of your life.
Yes.
Like I said earlier, they become like a family member.
Yes.
But back to my question, like what do I, besides space, is there anything else that I need to look into before I decide, if I need to have a pet, I not need to, if I should take one, and what are the conditions in which I can take
one should have the time. One should have the time. Affordability is another thing. You should be able to afford. I strongly recommend street dogs, local Indian dogs, rather than purebred pets which cost a lot of money. Unfortunately, commercialism has crept into this now. So if you go to a pet shop or if you go to a dog breeder, you pay a huge amount of money to buy a dog. And after having spent so much for him, you have to spend on his upkeep, on his medicines, his tonics, his vaccines. So I would rather you decide. If you can afford it, fine. If you can't, then keep a pet on which you don't have to spend much. Like the other day I was telling somebody, keep a Doberman. So he said, why Doberman? I said, because the Doberman is maintenance free. It's like a Maruti car. You put petrol and that's it. So affordability is one thing, and you should be able to have the time, because you have to give attention. You have to give love. You have to take care of the pet just like you would do for your child.
So if both the parents are working and it's a nuclear family, and the child may be alone at home with the maid, I'm just saying, it's a scenario, I'm giving you example. So would you say that's fine for them to have a
The pet should not be left alone. That's one thing very clear. So if you cannot have a dog or a cat and you don't have the time, or you don't have the space for it, then you could consider keeping a rabbit or a hamster. But again, it requires feeding, it requires cleaning, it requires treatment. Sometimes you've got to take it to the vet. And if you at all can't keep a pet, then I think you should take your child to wherever there are animals, where the child can interact with the animals, because I think that's very important for the growth of the child.
Why? Why is this interaction with children, with pets, with animals? Sorry, so important? Why? What is that? What exactly do they get from interacting with these animals or with pets?
See, yesterday I saw a poster, of two animals together, a dog and a cat, and the cat is telling the dog, "Be careful of that guy. Huh? That guy has got two legs. Be careful of him. He's dangerous." So a human being is a human being. I don't think you can put all your trust into a human being as much as you could into an animal. Of course, an animal might not be able to respond in the same way that a human being does. But an animal will give you that emotional support, that love, that affection, that attention, and most important is it is totally faithful for you, to you, compared to a human being. That's why I think it's very important to have an animal in your life.
Right. Now, you said that you get so much of love from animals. Most children, even adults for that matter, when they are walking down and they see a dog, it looks so cute, especially puppies. They see puppies and they want to go and touch it. Parents are always, obviously, I would, say, "Don't, that's a stray dog." So how do we make contact if we want to should we just stay away from stray dogs, not touch them? What are the dangers that are involved in touching stray dogs or patting them, and
Yeah. See, I saw a small clip on WhatsApp of an animal feeder, a dog feeder, asking a woman to throw away her stick, because she was walking on the street with a stick for fear of stray dogs. And she was asked to throw away the stick and replace it with chocolates, or replace it with something, tidbits that the dogs would like. And she actually threw away the stick and she started feeding the stray dogs. So she was converted, from an animal hater or someone who's afraid of stray dogs to someone who would care for them. So I think it all depends on your approach. You have to be able to approach the animal in a way that the animal doesn't feel threatened. It's not right to approach an animal just suddenly and give it reason to attack or to put fear into the animal. There is a way to do it, and one should not be foolish. One should not take foolish risks. It's very important to approach the animal in a proper way and befriend it. I think any animal, if it's not threatened, even if it's a snake, it will not attack. It will not attack. So it's easy. It's not easy for me to explain in words, but in practice, there is a way to approach the animal so that you attract its attention and it likes you. It mixes with you. It doesn't feel threatened. I think that's very important.
And we have heard about so many dog menaces around the place, especially dogs. I mean, someone said the other day, I think we have more dogs here than we have human beings. Now, with the dog menace increasing, is there anything that we as citizens can do?
See, first of all, that word menace itself, especially when it's used in reference to wild animals, those wild animals that eat farm crops and enter into people's homes. I object to the use of that word menace, because I think if it is a menace, it's because we have created the menace. I think it's very important that this animal welfare program should be implemented properly. Stray dogs, no doubt, should not be allowed to roam freely, because stray dogs attack, they bite, they spread rabies and whatever. But I think they also have rights. They also have rights. We have intruded into their space. So what I feel is that they should be collected, they should be housed. There is enough of money. We have enough of animal welfare organizations in Goa. You'll be surprised. We have almost 10, because when the birth of the animal welfare movement took place in Goa, that was more than 15 years back, my wife, myself, and another 3 or 4 people were involved in starting the PFA, the People for Animals. Today, we have the Goa Animal Welfare Trust, we have International Animal Rescue, we have Goa SPCA, we have PFA, we have a whole lot of animal welfare organizations. So I think it's very important that these stray dogs should be looked after, cared for, treated, vaccinated, and the stray dog population can be controlled. It should be controlled, no doubt. I am also disturbed when the stray dogs bark at night and they create a racket.
They do.
No doubt, no
They
doubt
do.
about it, yeah. But the solution is not in getting rid of them or killing them or shooting them. That's illegal in any case. The solution is in having in place a proper strategy to handle the stray dog problem.
Right.
And it's happening, but slow.
My next question to you is, you besides dogs and cats, do you also treat other types of animals?
Yes, of course. A vet is a different type of doctor. A vet is a doctor that treats all species except human being. Yeah. In fact, I was sitting at a restaurant and there were some foreigners and they couldn't speak English. And when I told them I'm a vet, they asked me, what is that? I said, a vet is a doctor who sometimes eats his own patients. And then they asked me, what do you mean? I said, now you're eating chicken, you see, so I am a doctor of the chicken.
Okay.
So it's like that, yeah.
You have been practicing 40 years.
Yes, 1981 I became a vet.
So from all the animals that you have treated,
yes,
which animal, according to you, was the most scariest?
Yes, I'll just answer the first part of your question. I have operated a python. The python ate a pigling. So the local people took a koito, a sharp knife, and they cut it. So I had to operate the python, remove the pigling, stitch it up. We operated a leopard for prolapse of the rectum. I've operated a male lion at the Bonda Zoo. I've operated a mouse. So Dr. Boissio Alphonse has helped me to operate a crocodile for a fractured jaw. So I have all these pictures, I have all these videos which I use when I go around to schools to talk to children about my profession. So it's not only dogs and cats, it's all animals that we treat.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, mostly when I get a dog, usually before, of course, we used to, Nandini, we are just going to get back to you. I can see all your questions, but yes, we used to feed them home food, right? Whatever was cooked at home was put into the bowl for the dog or the cat. Especially for the cat, all the fish bones were removed and given to the cat, and whatever was at home was given. Today, however, the trend has changed. People are going for these packaged foods. What do you think about that?
I'm not a great fan of packaged foods. I'm not a great fan of commercial feed. We have 9 cats at home, out of which 5 of them are Persian, 1 is a local, and 3 are Tamilian. And the moment you shake the bag of whiskers, they come running, because they love it, they want it. But it amounts to like feeding a child with Uncle Chips.
Right.
So I'm not a great fan, and we've had health issues with the cats because they are eating only commercial food. The problem is not the commercial food. The problem is the preservatives used, you know, in manufacturing the feed. So I strongly recommend that you should keep commercial feed, because there are times you don't have time.
Right.
There are times you can't cook. There are issues in providing natural food. But you should strike a balance. I would think in a day, 2 or 3 meals should be natural food, just as God desired, and 1 meal may be commercial feed. Or you can feed commercial feed top dressing. That means you give a plate of rice and chicken and sprinkle some commercial feed on it. That also you can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have our first question. Nandini Cardozo says, how often should I bathe my dog?
Yeah, thank you, Nandini. I think that's a very good question.
I know.
Yeah. I think it's important to bathe the dog once a week. Once a week or less often, not more often. Not every day. Somebody asked me, why once a week? Only once a week.
Don't
Because
they
I
smell?
have bath, I have bath twice a day. Yeah.
Dogs, don't they smell if it's
They
only
do.
once a week?
They do, but
Some
it's
of them have
recommended
this
once
very
a week
peculiar
because
smell.
Yes. That smell comes from what you call we have sweat glands, and they have got what you call sebaceous glands. So it's the sebum that they secrete that give that doggy smell. And if you ask me, I'm used to that smell. You know, it's a normal smell for me, but for some people it's offensive.
It is.
It is offensive, yeah. So once a week is recommended, not more often. You can brush the dog every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she also spoke about, Nandini, you also said, you spoke about tick infestation. So, yes, how does one treat a tick infestation in the dog?
See, tick infestation is a serious problem. I've seen dogs that are literally covered with ticks. So no one treatment will do to rid the dog of ticks. You have to do 3 out of 4 things. You have to use the shampoo. We normally use Bolfo shampoo from the Bayer company. It's a very good shampoo. You have to bathe the dog every week with shampoo. I would also suggest that you put drops on the back. Now those drops, you get a variety, you get Advantage, Advantix, Frontline, Spot On, Beticol, the works. You have to choose which one to put. Head, neck, back, and base of tail. You have to put the collar. Now the collar is expensive. It's about 600 rupees. They claim it works for 6 months. I don't agree. It works for about 3 months. I would recommend use the collar if nothing else works. And the last thing is the injection. Now the injection your vet will give. But let me tell you, it is being abused. Too many times doctors are giving the injection against ticks and fleas. So it has to be used judiciously, and your vet will decide whether it's required or not. So shampoo, then the drops on the neck, then the collar, and the injection.
Can you tell us a little about this collar that you're speaking about?
See, there are different types of collars. Some of them secrete a liquid, some of them secrete a powder, which kills the ticks on the body.
The belt.
The belt. So
okay.
One fear is that the belt may be lost.
Right.
One fear is that the belt might be stolen.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's expensive. So if it's raining during the rains, you shouldn't use it. When it's not raining, that's fine. But don't expect it to last for 6 months, about 3 to 4 months.
Okay. Savia D'Souza asks, how can I deal with a dog that cannot be vaccinated? Oh, I wonder why. The dog is extremely scared of humans and runs away on seeing a human being. So I'm taking it, Savia, that this dog is a stray dog and not a pet. So, doctor, can you answer Savia's question,
See,
please?
cannot be vaccinated is in Savia's mind. She says the dog cannot be vaccinated. The reason why the dog cannot be vaccinated is because it cannot be caught. I would suggest you should contact your vet, and your vet should see that it is possible that the dog be caught and vaccinated. Let me tell you, when I go sometimes to treat dogs, they are so ferocious, they want to kill me. In fact, one of my clients told me, doctor, please be careful, my dog might bite you because he loves bones. So probably the client thought I was quite skinny, you know? So she said,
possibly.
Take care. But possibly. We have a way, my daughter Sasha and I, my daughter's an expert by the way, we somehow put the leash on the dog, we pull it through the grill, we pull it through the gate, and we give it a jab in the back. Now, there are cages which you can use to catch the dog, and there are professionals with a net who can catch the dog. We have that. I move in my car with a net. So we have ways of catching the dog. Just call the right vet and your job will be done. I don't think it's that difficult. It might not be possible at the first instance, but you've got to try again and again and again. Mission Rabies is doing excellent work. Mission Rabies catch a lot of stray dogs, and they have people who have been trained to catch them and vaccinate them.
I would like to say something at this point. I live in a colony that's really huge. We have about more than 40 buildings. Now, I have seen these dog catchers coming from paws. I think it is paws. And they come and they are with their nets. There are 3 and 4 of them and sometimes even more. And they're running after the dogs and they are not always successful.
Correct. Absolutely right. The whole problem is that the way they do it is very traumatic. That's not the way to do it. In fact, it looks like somebody has given a phone call to the dogs and told them, see, the paws people are on the way, and all the dogs run away. They run away. Somehow they have this sixth sense which tells them that they are coming with the nets. So they should take the help of the local people, the people living in the colony. Believe it or not, every year for the last 25 years, I've been going to Murji, Mandre, Arambol. We vaccinate all the dogs on the beach. I take the help of Dog Temple. Dog Temple is a beautiful place established between the sea and the river. It's a heaven at Arambol. It's run by a group of foreigners, Niru, Silky, Michael, Ingo, where they just walk up to the dog and they call it and the dog comes to them. Now, if these dog catchers come with their nets or with all their paraphernalia and their jeeps, the dogs will run away. Whereas here in this case, they just call the dog. Believe it or not, each dog has a name. We not only know that dog, we know its grandmother and its grandfather. Because for the last 25 years, we've been doing it. So if you go into a colony and take the help of the local people, like in your colony, my daughters live there. So you know, they are so friendly with the dogs. So if you take the help of the local people, you can easily catch the dogs and do whatever you have to do.
Right. We come to Ninoshka's question. She says, how should we deal with people who are terrified of animals due to a prior incident? I mean, it's natural. Once bitten, twice shy.
Correct.
That's so natural.
Correct.
So, I have had a incident earlier. I was, an example, not true, but just to give you an example, I have known of people who've had these experiences where they have been chased by dogs. In fact, as I said, in my colony there was this lady who was chased, and she was not an elderly, but she was in her, I think, early 60s, and she fell and she fractured her hand or her leg, I'm not very sure. Dogs can get, you know, violent at times.
That's true.
And after that, I mean, she is mortally terrified of dogs. She, for some time, in fact, I heard that she refused to even come out of her home. This is the type of fear
That's
that
true.
we
It's very
have.
unfortunate
Yes.
that such an incident happens. But unfortunately, it's quite common, especially in childhood. When the child is small and cannot defend himself or herself and has such an experience with a stray dog or with a stray cat, then throughout that life, that fear is inbuilt in that person. So it's not easy. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time. One has to talk to that person. One has to try and remove that fear from that person. I think the parents have to play a very important role. I think the solution is in exposing that person to an animal, a dog or a cat, asking the person to touch the animal, asking the person to go close to the animal, to hug. I've had experiences where when I go to a client, one or two of the members of the family touch the dog and the others stay meters away. It's not easy. It's not easy. But one has to make an effort to try and remove that fear from that person.
No, if I am terrified, like if I was in that lady's place and I am now terrified, I'm horrified, I'm terrified, I'm in pain, physically, mentally, emotionally, I have been traumatized. What do?
I would have
Every time I
gifted you-
see an animal, my heart literally stops. It's
Yes.
like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
what
I
am
would
gonna
have
do?
gifted you a puppy or a kitten. It's not going to harm you. Or I would put it in your hands. I would, make you hug it. I would make you feel that it's harmless. And I would talk to you again and again and again. And show you other animals which are not harmful. And I think, but it takes a long time and it's not easy. It's not easy.
This is a question, maybe it sounds very different, because I've seen, of course, luckily, the I think the magnitude of people who are doing it is no longer the same. But I used to see earlier, lots of people used to have birds that they used to cage and keep.
Yes.
And that was so sad,
It's
because
sad.
birds are supposed to fly.
Correct.
Not that we should keep animals tied.
Yes.
But with birds, have you seen this decrease in people keeping birds as pets?
Yes, I think so. There is an awareness now. For one thing is people don't have time. The other thing is they live in small flats.
Right.
And what you said, the nuclear families. So fortunately, to our good luck, they don't have the time and the facility to look after the birds in the cage, which is good for the bird.
Yes.
And apart from that, there's an awareness. I think people have to be educated. In fact, whenever I see a bird in a cage, I always suggest that the bird should be released, which of course they don't do. But I tell them that because God loved birds, He created them. God created birds because He loved them. And because we think we love them, we put them in cages, which is a tragedy.
It is.
Yeah, when you put a bird in a cage, you're restricting its movement. You're not allowing it to fly. And you won't believe, but some people will even clip the wings of the bird and let it loose. And they argue with me. They don't accept when I say you have to release it. And their most common argument is that if we leave the bird now, it will be killed. It'll be attacked. So such a bird which has been kept in captivity for a long time should be given to the proper authorities where it can be rehabilitated.
So which are the proper
For example, here
authorities?
in Panchim at Kampal, we have a bird rescue center, which is run by the Forest Department. So any and every injured bird we send to the bird rescue center.
Right.
And they're quite responsible. And what they do is, in case the bird needs medical attention, they call me, or they take it to the vet at Tonka. And they get it attended. They will release the bird where it was found, not anywhere. And they will release it after they're sure that it's going to be safe.
Right. Now, with dog care, besides giving them a bath once a week, like you said, making sure they are not infested with ticks, what other care do I need to give my dog?
See, the dog has to be vaccinated.
How
regularly.
often is that?
At the age of 2 months, the vaccinations start. Now there's a trend to start vaccinating at 6 weeks because they are exposed to various viruses. Incidentally, you'll be surprised, but we have been vaccinating dogs apart from distemper and rabies, what we call the 7-in-1, which is against distemper, hepatitis, parvovirus, parainfluenza, adenovirus. Apart from that, we've been vaccinating dogs against coronavirus for the last 30, 35 years.
That's a very pertinent question.
Yes.
Do dogs get coronavirus?
Yes, dogs do get coronavirus. The good thing is that coronavirus in dogs, at least there has been no reported case of transmission from the dog to human beings. So it does not get transmitted. But in dogs it causes gastroenteritis. In human beings it causes pneumonia. People are dying of pneumonia. People who are suffering from COVID are dying of pneumonia. So if your dog does get coronavirus, no problem, call your vet, he will treat it, they recover. They recover. But to prevent the disease, you should vaccinate.
But so if I have a dog at home who has coronavirus, does that mean I'm going to get it as
Not
well?
necessary. 99.9% no. Because
Why?
I've treated hundreds of dogs with coronavirus. When we treat the dog, we're not sure whether it's corona or parvovirus. The symptoms are the same. It's bloody gastroenteritis. The symptoms are the same. They respond to treatment, they recover.
So if you want to know if your dog is having gastroenteritis and is passing bloody stools, it means
It
that
could be parvo, it could be corona. There are kits available to check and to confirm which one it is.
so
There
you
are
need
kits
to
available.
basically call your vet or take your dog to the vet and get it checked.
Yes, but I don't recommend, I normally suggest to my client, instead of spending money on the kit to try and confirm what it is, the treatment is the same, we treat in any case and the dog recovers. Should the dog die, you have no fear of getting the disease.
All right.
Yeah.
We have another question from Anaga. Anaga Dande asks, any tips for toilet training a puppy, doctor?
Yes. See,
that's a very important. I should have asked that earlier.
See, the reason why a puppy does his job in the house is because he thinks that's his toilet. And the house probably smells good for him. It smells of pee and poop. So the first thing is you have to remove all traces of pee and poop in your house. The moment the puppy pees, you remove it, clean it, use water, mask the smell. Because the puppy loves the smell of pee. Mask the smell, use Dettol, use phenyl or sodium hypochlorite, mask the smell. And the cloth that you use to clean the poop, the pee, you keep it out in the garden or in your gallery, where you take the puppy 5 times a day. The same thing with the poop. Collect the poop, remove all traces in the house, discard it. But when you take the puppy to the gallery or to the garden, just like we take a child and we make the sound of urine, the same way you do it with the puppy. And talk to the puppy. Don't talk in long sentences, After 10 days, the puppy will start going to the gallery because the gallery has the smell of pee or poop, which the puppy likes. And it will start doing the job there.
So from the first day itself, like I have got a puppy and it's the first day and the puppy has already started messing the place.
Yes.
What do we do? Straight away?
Yes.
Start wiping it clean?
Yes, don't leave the poop or the pee in the house. Start wiping, start cleaning, start taking the pup outside and keep a cloth with urine. Now in cats, you can keep litter. I don't know how it works like magic, but the cats go to the litter and they do the job there. You can use the same cat litter for puppies. They might or they might not go. But you have to physically take the puppy every time to the gallery or to the garden where it will learn to do the job. As it grows, yeah. But you have to have patience. It doesn't work overnight. It takes time.
What about squirrels? In Goa, there are quite a number of people who have squirrels as pets.
Yes.
Right? So what is the care to be given to a squirrel?
There is no vaccination for squirrels.
Why so, doctor?
Rodents don't have a vaccine. A squirrel is a rodent. If you have to vaccinate a squirrel, you might as well vaccinate a rat. But rats, mice, hamsters, squirrels don't have vaccinations. It's become very common for people to keep hamsters and rabbits as pets.
Right.
Because they're nuclear families, they live in small flats. The only problem is they create a smell. It smells. The poop and the pee stinks, especially of rabbits. Yeah, but you have to feed them from time to time. You have to keep the litter clean. And I would suggest that you should leave it free in your flat for as much as you can. Maybe at night when you're going to bed, you put it in its cage. In the morning, you release it. If you're going to keep it 24 hours in the cage, that's sad. That's sad because it's a squirrel, right? It wants to run about. The only thing you've got to be careful.
It could escape as well, right?
It could. So you have to be careful.
And you spoke about rabbits. Can I keep a rabbit in my apartment?
You can, provided you handle the smell. You control the smell. The trick is that in whatever cage you are keeping the rabbit, the bottom should be mesh. So the poop goes through and collects in a tray, which you take out 2-3 times a day and clean it.
And according to you, the rabbit should be kept free to roam about in the house and should be kept in the cage at night. Yes.
See, the rabbit, like the cow is a ruminant, right? The cow chews its own cud. But what the cow does is regurgitates from the stomach into the mouth and chews it. Whereas the rabbit is a pseudo-ruminant. It picks up the poop from the bottom. It picks it up and chews it again. So we have to actually break that cycle. If we don't break that cycle, the rabbit can get sick. So that's why the bottom of the cage is normally a mesh. So the poop goes through. So when you release it in the house, whenever it does its job, you've got to clean it. Keep it clean.
Okay. Okay. We are coming to many other questions. There is a question by Ratima. I cannot see it. We will just... What can be done to the people who give poison to the puppies or dogs?
Yeah, to the people, I would say hang them. But you're asking me what can be done to the people. It's a criminal offense, you know, putting poison for puppies or cats. It's a criminal offense. The first thing is you should report to the police. You should make an issue. You should make a case. But I'll tell you what's the problem. The problem is to provide proof. It's not easy. Because should the puppy die or should the dog die, you will take it to the vet, you'll get a post-mortem done, okay? They will collect the sample, they will send it for analysis, you'll get a positive report saying yes, it was poisoned. Then the question comes, who put the poison? So it's not easy. You have to have 100% proof that this person has put poison. Only then you can get a police case. I've handled hundreds of such cases in my career in the government, and it's not easy.
Right. You spoke about rabies, and you said dogs get rabies.
Yes. Any animal with a spine, any vertebrate can get rabies.
So even squirrels?
Yes. I was just waiting for you to ask that question.
Even
because my sister-in-law had gone to Simla. A squirrel came down from the tree, bit her son, and ran away. So she called me up frantically, and she asked me, do I vaccinate my child or not? I said, it's very simple. All vertebrates get rabies, but there has been no reported case of a squirrel getting rabies. There has been no reported case. But then this is your son. So what do? Do you leave him without the vaccine?
Yes,
I said, don't take a chance.
Give him the vaccine.
Give him the vaccine.
Right.
But now, there has been no reported case of any squirrel getting rabies.
How do we know if a dog has got rabies? I'm walking down the road. There are so many stray dogs. I'm quite okay with dogs, but there are people who are terrified, like I said. So how do I know if a dog has rabies? What do I need to look for? Or even if my pet is a dog and I want to know what are the signs, symptoms that I need to look for?
It's a bit difficult as a layman or as a layperson for you to detect whether the dog has got rabies or not. The first thing is the dog will stop eating. The first thing. The second is that the behavior will be abnormal. The dog will not respond to commands. Okay, it will be aggressive. It will come to attack you. It will attack its own owner. The third thing will be that it will start frothing from the mouth. Okay. Yes. Then it will start getting paralyzed. It will be an ascending paralysis. That means starting from the head downwards. Finally, the dog will be lying flat, not able to move, in a coma, and it will die. A rabid dog has to die. A rabid dog cannot live. So the best thing is when you have a doubt, even if it's a 1% doubt, you should call the vet to check the dog and find out, yes, whether the dog is rabid or not. If you try to take the dog to the vet, you might get bitten on the way. So if you could get a vet to come home and have a look. If the vet cannot confirm rabies, no issue. If there's a doubt, take the vaccine. Don't take a chance.
Okay. And what happens if you are bit, if a human being is bit by, do they die as well? Because
yes. Nobody can survive from rabies. So the moment you're bitten, within 24 hours, you have to take the vaccine. There is a fixed schedule. It's 0, 3, 7, 14, 30, 90. These are the days on which you have to take the vaccines post-bite. Now let's say you're bitten and you're not sure whether the dog was rabid or not. You start the course. By the time you reach the third dose, if the dog is alive and has no clinical symptoms of rabies, you can stop the vaccine on the advice of your doctor. But if the dog dies, or the dog disappears, or the dog runs away, or the dog is killed in an accident, I would strongly recommend that you complete the course. Now this has to be recommended not by me, I'm the vet, so it's my job to look after the dog. This will be recommended by your doctor, the human doctor.
Right. So Basil, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It says Basil Sachinist. How can one maintain a compatible relationship between a new pet coming into the household with the one already at home?
I think it's a very nice question. What will happen, Basil, if somebody walks into your house and takes residence in your house? Who is the intruder? It's the new person coming in who is the intruder, right? So I think it's very important that the dog who has been there originally, your pet, okay, it's his house. So the new one who has come in is an intruder. So what you have to do is do not decrease your love and affection, especially your show of love and affection for your dog, the one that you own. Give him a lot of love, lot of affection, pet him, hug him, kiss him, give him his food in time, give him a lot of attention, and pretend that you don't have that much of attention for the new puppy. What will be established in due course of time is what you call the pecking order. Probably the new pup will turn on his back, put his legs in the air, and allow the bigger dog to sniff him and lick him, and it will be established that the original dog of the house is the boss and this guy is an intruder, and then peace will be established. Now it's easy for me to talk, but how do you do this? Your dog, which you think is going to attack, should be muzzled. You put a muzzle on him and leave him to attack the puppy. Nothing will happen. He won't hurt the puppy. He'll try, he'll bark, he'll shout, he'll scream, no issue. After some time, the puppy will learn to respect him, that he's the boss. It's his house and the puppy is the intruder. In due course of time, peace will be established and they'll be friends.
You said put a muzzle for the big
For
dog.
the one who is attacking.
The older dog.
Whether it's the older dog or the younger dog, whoever is biting, you have to put a muzzle. And leave them together. It's like two kids fighting. It's very easy for us to interfere and take sides. Best is not to take sides. Leave it to them. They will solve the problem.
What if they kill each other?
They won't. They won't.
Then what?
No, they won't. Because one will give up. He will turn on his back, like I said, and put his legs in the air, and he'll say, I give up.
Okay.
Hands up.
All right. We also have people who, I remember my daughter had a turtle. She was so fond of the turtle. And we used to put it in a little fish tank. How does one, if I get a turtle tomorrow, where exactly do I keep it? Do I put it in a fish tank? Do I keep it out in a little box? What do I do?
See, first of all, you have to confirm whether it's a turtle or a tortoise.
Oh my goodness, now that's a very important question. Please
now a turtle
tell me
is a water animal.
Different? Okay.
And a tortoise is both a water and a land animal.
Okay.
A turtle has got webs on the feet. A turtle is normally soft. It's flatter and it's normally green. A turtle. Whereas a tortoise has a
brown
hump shell. It's hard, thick scales and more on the browner side. If it's a tortoise, it needs both water and land. If it's a turtle, it's okay if you put it in a tank with water. But I've seen a lot of turtles for years and years in a small pokey tank.
Yes.
With muddy, dirty water. And the poor creature, its whole life, it is in that tank. It breaks my heart. That's
what has
very
to be
tragic.
done?
I would suggest if you at all want to keep it in the tank should be big. It should be big enough. Or why don't you just put it in your well? Or why don't you release it in the fields? Why keep it in a tank at
But
all?
that's my pet. I want to have my pet.
I know. Again, I said, because God loved the turtle, God created it, and because you love it, you put it in a tank
Yes,
where it's suffering.
I want to see my pet. I want to touch it. I want to talk to it. Maybe I don't know. I want to do.
I know, but I think that love is not appropriate in the sense it's suffering. It's in that small tank. It has no space to move. It has the environment is totally artificial. It's a glass tank or a plastic tank.
Yes.
The water is tap water with chlorine in it. It's not appropriate. So I would suggest that either you keep it in a proper tank, a huge tank, or you make a pond for it.
It's a small little turtle this size.
I know.
Then what?
Yeah, that also is actually illegal. Nobody takes action because nobody reports. But a lot of these turtles and tortoises, especially that beautiful green Singapore turtle, which is available everywhere,
Yes.
everybody has it. Legally, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to keep it in captivity. But they breed in captivity, and people are making money selling the turtles.
I'm
It's
so
very
glad I've given my turtle ran away. It literally, we had kept it out of the tank. We removed it and we kept it out. And a few hours later, we searched
There
the
was a
entire
client of mine
house.
who had this, not turtle, but tortoise in a plastic bucket. And I kept telling them, release it, release it, release it. Till finally it disappeared. Till today, they don't know what has happened to it.
Exactly.
The fact is that I took it and I just released it in the field.
I know you've not come to my house, so where my turtle has gone off, went off, is a mystery.
Yeah.
And we come to Basil again asking pets consider their owners their parents, yes. But when a newborn child enters a household, how can one prevent jealousy? I think we've already...
No, this is very, it's a nice question. You have to expose the baby to the dog or to the pet. Don't show the pet, you know, that the baby is a strange creature, or the baby cries all of a sudden, or the baby makes funny sounds, and don't give a chance to the dog to attack the baby when you're not around. A lot of people who have a new baby, they keep the dog tight, they keep the dog away, and one fine day when they're not around, the dog attacks. So it's very important when the baby comes to the house, bring the dog to the baby, show the baby to the dog, talk to the dog, tell him this is our baby, and very often let him be there when the baby cries and makes funny sounds, so he knows that yes, this baby is part of the household, so it is safe. But still, never keep the baby and the dog alone, never, because after all it's a baby.
So all the parents who have babies, newborn babies especially, you need to introduce the pet very
Yes.
slowly.
Yes.
So here we are actually speaking specifically about dogs, am I right?
Yes, because dogs can attack.
What about cats? Will are cats also violent? Can
Normally,
make
a
it?
cat would not attack a baby or a child unless it's rabid. Normally, I don't think they would attack. Unless you hold it and it's not very comfortable with you, it would scratch you.
Yes.
But it wouldn't go out of its way to attack you. Whereas a dog, yes. A dog is meant to be a security guard, so it would attack.
And what about, there are people who keep pythons
Yes.
and
yes.
snakes as well.
Yes, I had a python. I had a pet python for 9 years. I used to put it around my neck, or I used to put it on the handle of my scooter and go for a drive. Yeah, and I learned a lot from my python.
I wasn't anywhere close to him because I would have run a mile. I'm actually terrified
I
of
learned a lot from my
snakes.
python.
No, but so if you have a python,
Yes.
what is the care?
I used to
first and
feed it.
foremost, doctor, are pythons legal? Can we?
No,
can
it's
you
not
keep-
legal.
And
But
you
at that time,
you had kept a python.
I kept it. At that time, I was a vet already, and I thought in case someone does approach me, I can always say it's under my treatment. You cannot correlate with the python. You can't talk to it. You can't hug it or kiss it. But I love snakes. I like snakes. And this python was in an old car that we had, an abandoned car. And I looked after it for 9 years. I used to feed it little, it's hard to say, but little chickens and little rats and small animals and eggs. And I learned a lot of things. I never knew that pythons have ticks.
Oh,
I never knew. I learned that it had ticks. But my python had a wound where I used to apply betadine every day for 6 months. I knew very little about snakes, right? Till a vet came from Australia and he asked me, what are you doing? Don't you know what that is? I said, it's a wound, it's not healing. He said, no, that's his rectal opening, his asshole, and you're applying medicine.
okay.
So I learned a lot of things from my python. Yeah. Finally, I had to release him because some neighbors came to know I had him and they objected.
Right. What about cows? Do they get rabies? Because we're talking about dogs. You said every animal with a backbone.
Yes, of course cows. In fact, I saw Gustavo Pinto has asked that question. Cows do get rabies. Yes, and in fact a cow with rabies is dangerous, not because it will bite people, but it will transmit the virus through the milk. That is the problem, because if a dog bites a person, it will bite 1, 2, 3 people. But if a cow has rabies, it can transmit the virus to 100 people. So the moment there is a doubt that the cow has rabies, the vet has to be called, he has to check. And when he has a doubt and the cow dies, then you can call Mission Rabies. There's a hotline number. They will come, they will do a post-mortem, take the brain and confirm rabies.
But by then, the milk has been...
Yes, so the trick is that the milk has to be boiled. If anybody consumes raw milk, there's a risk. But if they cook the milk or boil it, then there's no problem.
Right. Now, there is one question that I find, people, they say they are vegetarian. And because they are vegetarian, Akshada, I'll get back to you. I will read your question to doctor, but you'll need to give me a moment. So we are vegetarians, and hence we give only vegetarian food to our dogs and our cats. Is that fine for a dog or a cat?
See, the dog is actually a canine. It has been provided with canine teeth because it is a non-vegetarian. So correctly speaking, it is a meat eater. Yeah, but now for health issues, to maintain the health of the dog, people tend to make them vegetarian. People themselves are becoming vegetarian, and so they do with their dogs. They keep better health because giving a lot of non-veg to the dog increases skin issues. Like I said, we have sweat glands, they have sebaceous glands. So through the sebum, the smell of that meat which the dog has eaten comes, and it attacks ticks and fleas. It attacks fungus. It causes skin issues. So the more veg, the healthier the dog. Veg does not produce toxins. Non-veg does. Veg clears the intestines. Non-veg does not. Non-veg clogs the intestines. So I also am a fan of vegetarian food, although sometimes the dog should be given a little bit of maybe chicken or some other non-veg.
So so according to you, it's fine if we give
veg.
Veg.
Yes.
So I start with little bit of veg.
Yes.
Can I completely cut out non-veg for my dog?
Not recommended, because the dog won't be happy. So it's good to give non-veg sometimes, but it's a good practice to make the bulk of the food veg. It keeps the dog healthier.
And you recommend more home-cooked food rather than...
Certainly.
Right.
Certainly.
So we'll go to Akshada's question. Akshada says that there are some fish which you put in your aquarium, you buy it from the shop, and you come home and you put it. I faced that as well when I had a fish tank, and the fish used to die.
Yes.
So why does that happen?
Yeah, one thing, the most common cause is oxygen, lack of oxygen. So when you buy the fish, be sure that they come in that packet with the oxygen. And the moment you put them in your aquarium and they die, it's your duty to go back and report to the chap. They should not die. You paid for the fish, right? So one issue could be the environment, your water or your aquarium, the environment in which you put your new fish. They should not die.
So the problem, where is the problem?
One problem could be the oxygen. Maybe they have supplied the fish in less oxygen. The other problem could be your aquarium. So I would suggest, if this is the problem, then you should take your water from your aquarium when you go to buy the fish and ask him to put the fish in that water.
But maybe, Akshada, I think I would ask this question as well. I take my water and I go to the aquarium and buy the fish. I can't be there the whole day. For that half an hour, my fish is fine. But when I come home, the next day, the fish is dead. Then
no, it cannot. It will not, because the water is the same. The water which you've taken to the shop and that of your aquarium is the same. So I don't think it will die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charlene Pala says there are some beautiful pictures on YouTube, some very beautiful YouTube videos on how babies can bond with pets. Okay.
Yes.
We will definitely look at that. Ruth D'Souza, my dog ear keep licking. I think Ruth, you mean
the
that your dog
is
keeps...
L-E-A-K-I-N-G.
Yes, no.
Leaking.
I think basically she's saying that my dog keeps licking his or her ear. What remedies are to be done, and why does
I
it
don't think
happen?
the dog can lick its own ear. The dog might be licking the ear of the other dog.
Okay.
Yeah, but the other possibility is that the question is that the dog's ear is leaking, L-E-A-K-I-N-G.
Okay.
That means it's oozing.
Ruth, I don't know.
Maybe
the spell, I don't know, maybe there's a
Yeah, but I'll tell
spelling.
you, if it's leaking, if it's oozing, all you have to do is get your vet to clean the ear. That you could do yourself. Clean the ear. Okay, there are special solutions meant to clean the ear.
Right.
Then you'll have to put drops, ear drops, antibiotic drops.
Okay.
It might be worse. It might require antibiotics orally by way of injection and painkillers. I think that's
about it.
Yeah.
I think we just have another 2 minutes, and I've got 2 more questions that I need to ask you. Is it bad? Very important, because this is a question I kept asking everyone when I had a dog. Everything is in the past. I had a dog. I don't have one anymore because, like doctor said, it takes a lot of time, effort, and of course money you need to spend on your pet. So when I had a dog, that was my very common question. Can I put salt in the food? Because I'm cooking for everyone. I put salt in the rice that I make, and even if I made dal, and I'm giving my dog rice and dal, there is salt already. So doctor, is that
salt is not bad for dogs. Excess salt is bad, like sugar. Salt is not bad for dogs. In fact, we give saline injections to the dogs. It's a misconception that salt is bad. We give saline when the dog is dying, when he needs a drip, it's not been eating. Then we give DNS, dextrose and saline. That is salt. But excess salt is bad. Excess sugar is bad. Anything in excess is bad. So a pinch of salt will add taste to the food. But it's a trend for people to give salt-free food to the dog, which means that the food is not tasty. Now if you see these commercial feeds, there is a pinch of salt in it. I think that's fine. No issue.
All right.
Yeah.
And there's another question that very pertinent, because there are a lot of people now, and with Goa being the way it is so beautiful, and we have so much of, luckily, so much of space around.
Goa was beautiful.
It is still, to some extent. If you're coming from Bombay like I do, Goa is heaven.
Yeah.
It truly is. You can see the tourists who come here.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that opinion.
No, it's beautiful.
I think we should fight to keep it
yes,
beautiful.
we need to.
Yeah.
We need to do everything we can. And my last question, because we are running out of time, is that if I have retired, I want to start a dairy. Is it a lot of work?
It is. It's a lot of work. The big problem is labor. The big problem is labor. The second problem is to get the cows pregnant in time. It's very important to get the cows pregnant in time. If you don't get your milk. For 9 months the cow is pregnant. After that it starts giving milk. If you have a cow and you're feeding it, and if it's eating a lot and it's not going to give you milk, what's the use?
Right.
Yeah.
Fine.
So there's a lot of work with dairying.
So if those who want
I have never met a rich dairy farmer, a man who's made a lot of money through dairying. I've never.
But we can always, both of us can go and help. So if you're planning on starting your dairy,
Yeah,
do call us.
sure.
We would love to come and help. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, doctor, for
thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
It
and
is
thanks to all the people who have been watching this program.
very informative.
Yeah.
And
I think we need more such programs.
Yeah, of course, definitely. And I think a few even demonstrations. So next time we call Dr. Pinto, maybe he can demonstrate a few tricks that will help us to look after our pets better. That's all from all of us here at the studio and from Navin Times. Thank you very much for joining us, and take care of yourselves. God bless. Until next time.
Thank you.